boy bands,
Crazy.
and girl power.
Oh, that's a banger.
Bubblegum pop.
Oh, baby. Welcome back to the channel, my wonderful people. Today, guys, we're going to be checking out top 10 trends from the 1990s, guys. I know a lot of you guys have been wanting me to dive more into the 90s. The decade just before the internet and tech, all of that really kicked in. I still wasn't born during these times. So, it's always interesting, especially for me to see what life was like before I was born. You guys know me on the channel. I've got a very curious mind. Of course, guys, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Road to 60K. We're climbing closer and closer. You guys, support you've been showing me has been crazy. And don't forget to smash that like button as well. So I know you guys want to see more. Help boost me in the algorithm. The support is very much appreciated, guys. And yeah, look, let's see what the 90s, what the top trends were saying in the 90s. Come from watchmojo.com. Link to the original video will be in the description below. And of course, guys, look, with that being said, let's get straight into this one. Let's go.
Welcome to watchmojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 trends of the 1990s. For our series of the top 10 trends per decade, we're taking a look at the fashions, films, music, and more that was popular in a certain era.
Great.
Alongside the pop and grunge music trends of the 90s came an explosion in electro, techno, and acid house that offered up rapid pounding beats and a unique culture all its own.
Raves.
Though they'd already been popular in Europe in the 1980s, raves became a fixture on the American scene through the 90s, starting in California. Often kept secret from police because of the illicit behavior that goes on there.
Right.
These sometimes 24-hour-long packed parties were full of dancing and drugging, all set to an intense house music soundtrack.
Wow.
Number 9.
And I feel like raves are still popular to this day. I know a lot of my Gen Z friends just, talk about raving quite a bit. I'm not a raver myself. I feel like a big part of that is because I don't, engage in drugs like that. So I feel like, I don't know, that might be a mad thing to say, but it's to say, like, I feel like a big appeal of that scene is that stuff behind it. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I wouldn't really know. That's just from what I'm seeing from the outside looking in. But either way, I'm not too involved in that. You guys, I mean, for those guys that do it, like, let me know if that's really the whole point of it, because I don't know too much about the raving scene.
Soundtrack. Number 9. Coffee culture.
Coffee
There you
culture.
go. Enjoy.
Should I tell her I ordered tea? No.
Though coffee was by no means a new discovery, the 90s saw coffee culture take off, in large part thanks to American sitcoms like Frasier and Friends. Instead of hanging out in a bar like most sitcom friends did to that point, these comedies moved their social convos to the coffee house. Sitting around in trendy coffee shops drinking trendy coffees was all the rage, but not only did it become fashionable, it was also an integral part of socializing, leading to the spread of chains like Starbucks.
Wow.
The whole purpose of places like Starbucks is for people with no decision-making ability whatsoever to make
I thought that was always a thing, even in the UK, everybody's always got a cup of coffee in their hand, especially you guys going to work and stuff, like coffee is a necessity. So, and I used to work in Starbucks actually, and I would see in all the early morning shifts, all the, everybody's coming in for those coffees. It's busy. The morning you'll be surprised it's busy. But yeah, okay, this is it started really more of in the 90s, this kind of thing. I thought this was always a thing because it was a thing when I was growing up.
The whole purpose
even to this
of
day.
places like Starbucks is for people with no decision-making ability whatsoever to make 6 decisions just to buy 1 cup of coffee.
Number 8. Teen television.
Okay.
While the 80s were all about the Saturday morning cartoons and children's programming, the 90s saw the rise of teen television. That's the decade when sitcoms and dramas were developed and aimed directly at teenagers, with characters in their age group taking on problems and issues they're used to dealing with.
What, are you doing her so that she'll help you with your math homework?
Thanks to the popularity of shows like Beverly Hills 90210, Saved by the Bell, and My So-Called Life, teen problems were finally seen as a viable focus for television.
Look, I hate you both. Never talk to me again.
Number 7.
The American teen shows are actually they're just so much more dramatic. Like they're so much funny. I feel like The UK version of that will be so much darker, like way more. Wait, my brain's gone blank. Like UK were just way more morbid and just bland in terms of the delivery. Yeah, it's compared to the US, it's way more dramatic. This acting kills me.
Number 7, urban culture. The spread of the internet pushed multiculturalism further than ever before. While hip-hop music was more a product of the 70s than the 90s, it was during the latter decade that urban culture worked its way into the mainstream in terms of music and fashion. Rap music became an industry thanks to massive pop rap hits like MC Hammer's You Can't Touch This.
Can't touch this.
In response, gangster rap acts like Snoop Dogg, Tupac, and NWA brought a more hardcore edge to the game, becoming a lucrative subgenre in the process.
The music scene and the hip-hop scene started changing around these times from what I'm aware.
Bubblegum pop.
Oh baby, baby. Yeah,
led
man.
by the Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls, NSYNC, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and more. These perky teen pop acts charged onto the scene with choreographed dances, squeaky clean images, and formulaic but catchy songs that dominated the end of the decade. Number 5, must-have accessories. Hindsight is 20/20, and it's easy to judge our past fashion mistakes when we look back on them. But the 90s had plenty of nifty fashion accessories to go along with it, from fanny packs and tiny backpack purses to slap bracelets and plastic tattoo choker necklaces to scrunchies and butterfly clips. And so much glitter. Quirky and ubiquitous, some of these fads were practical and some were merely for looks, but we wouldn't revisit any of them.
Shut up, these are cool.
All right, but the goggles.
Everybody's wearing these.
Number 4, extreme sports. You can bet those who wore their rebellious attitudes on their sleeves in the 90s were into some kind of extreme sport, be it skateboarding, snowboarding, BMX, or rollerblading. The skater boy persona was fueled by the pop culture of the period, with TV, movies, and music making the carefree surfer-type mentality cool. In addition, the X Games launched in 1995, bringing extreme sports to a wider audience.
Wow.
Tony Hawk doing all kinds of different tricks that skaters don't do, the McTwist, the varials. Oh, he missed on the varial.
Okay.
He's human, but he's gonna win this thing.
Number 3,
Intense.
in the toy box.
What's that? Oh, it's my Furby.
Teddy bears were yesterday's news by the time the 90s rolled around. So what was popular in the last decade of the 20th century? Beanie Babies for one. But the toys only got more complex. If it wasn't a virtual pet like a Tamagotchi you were after, then you were trying to get your hands on a collection of Pokemon cards or even Pogs.
You traded my soul for Pogs?
Even the It toy of Christmas '96, Tickle Me Elmo, was more tech-savvy than most. And although these toys and games were all straightforward, they each formed hardcore followings.
It seems like it.
And gave mine a cold.
Number 2, high-tech communications.
Yo, I'm blowing up. It's Kate, Grand Central. Let's hit it.
Wait, is
With the
that a
popularity
beeper?
and use of cell phones still up and coming, the youth of the 90s was communicating through beepers and internet chat rooms. On the one hand, beepers were a convenient way to nudge someone if you needed to get in touch. On the other, chat rooms were a recreational outlet that allowed you to communicate with like-minded users across the world, essentially establishing the framework for future social media like MSN Messenger, MySpace, and Facebook.
I think it's so great that you're totally into this person, yet for all you know, she could be like 90 years old or have 2 heads, or it could be a guy.
Before we reveal our...
You know, this kind of like, especially the technology stuff, like when it comes to beepers, the early internet, like I need to dive more into that because that's a whole new world for me. Like I don't know what the internet was like before Instagram. I didn't even know like all of this MySpace and stuff, but I didn't even know there was stuff before MySpace from what these guys were saying. So I might need to dive into that because yeah, it seemed like it was a whole new phenomenon during these times. Interesting.
It could be a guy.
Before we reveal our number 1 90s trend,
I didn't even know what beepers were.
Honorable mentions.
Wait, is there any chance that you can look
Until
at this
recently.
as flattering? I mean, she's doing it because she wants to be more like you.
Well, then, you know, couldn't she have just copied my haircut?
What?
If somebody catch him, it don't matter.
Overalls, Fresh Prince.
Rabbit punch. Like you don't even see it coming. Bang!
Everything symbolized adolescent rebellion and individualism in the 90s, quite like grunge.
Wow, Nirvana seems to be big, you know.
Though they were helped along by the likes of Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and more. Do you agree with our list? What's your favorite fad of the 90s? For more fascinating top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Huh. Nirvana. That description that she gave, or the commentator gave at the end, was pretty good for this whole grunge scene. From what I'm aware, again, this whole grunge scene was popular back in the day, especially Nirvana. I keep hearing their name get brought up here and there, but again, I don't know too much about them. I don't know too much about many artists around these times. Like Nirvana, I don't think by the time when I was really listening to music, I don't think they were still like in the early 2010s or the early. Yeah, the late 2000s and the early 2010s, like I don't think they were much of a thing around those times. At least from my perspective, I didn't know anything about Nirvana. I still don't to this day. Like they're still a novelty to me. The 90s is just one of those weird periods because for me at least, because even I was born in the early 2000s, but to say like the 90s, that period that I didn't grow up with the influence of, like I completely missed. Well, at least a little bit. Like I feel like when I was really, really young, like 4 or 5, I feel like I got like subconscious, downloads of some 90s stuff that carried over into the early 2000s. But it's an interesting decade to be fair. Like especially with the advent of the internet and social media really starting to kick in, because this was a very revolutionary times for sure. But of course, guys, and you would have thought it would have led to what it has led to today. But of course, guys, as always, if you made this point, you guys are the realest of the real. You guys already know. Comment down a yellow heart, so I know who my real ones are. I made this point in the video. Let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know how this one resonated with you guys. Did this bring out any memories? Where do you feel as if there's some other things in here that should have been brought up that weren't? You guys always know I like to see your opinions on these kinds of things. What do you think some of these things might have been more hyped than, they overhyped? Do you think some of these things that were brought up are overhyped? But yeah, guys, that's my reactions to this. I love you guys who make it through the end, especially. Shout out to you guys. I've been your boy JayFlex, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.